$300,000 revealed. My son's heartwarming question exposed a hidden, incredible transformation. It was just another Saturday in that cozy Ohio suburb where the sun shone brightly, casting a warm glow on the front porch of Rachel's modest home. Leaning back on the worn wooden stairs, Rachel watched her son, Ethan, as he listened to the sounds of laughter and chatter from the local veterans charity drive down the street. People mingled, donation boxes filled to the brim with hope and support. In that peaceful moment, life felt simple enough, but the weight of the world never seemed to vanish entirely from Rachel's shoulders. "Mom," Ethan suddenly piped up, his blue eyes wide with innocence. "Why do people care more about how much money you have than who you are inside?" Those words hit Rachel like a punch to the gut. It brought forth a flood of memories, the ghosts of her past surfacing with vivid clarity. Her father had been a single dad, pouring every ounce of love into his children while grappling with his own struggles against an unforgiving economy. Rachel's heart tightened as she recalled the days they felt invisible, overshadowed by financial despair in a world obsessed with wealth. "Ethan," she said softly, forcing herself to hold back the tears. "I guess because it's easier to see what's on the outside." "That's dumb," Ethan replied, scrunching his nose. His simplistic honesty ignited a spark in Rachel. Perhaps there was something to be learned from her son's untainted perspective. Determined, she encouraged him to dive deep into a classroom project that would honor the unsung heroes of their town. As they brainstormed ideas, Rachel felt her heart swell. Each story they uncovered revealed ordinary people with extraordinary courage, those whose sacrifices remained buried beneath layers of indifference. The upcoming community event to celebrate these heroes was more than a mere festivity. It became a mission, a beacon of hope amidst the struggle. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the day of the event approached, Rachel threw herself into the preparations. But her bubbling excitement quickly turned to dread when an embarrassing mistake left her feeling small and defeated. Just as self-doubt crept in, Ethan took the stage, driven by the stories they had discovered together. "Bravery isn't just about medals or money," he began, his voice steady. The audience grew quiet, hanging on to his every word. "It's about what you do when it's hard." Each sentence wrapped around their hearts, igniting conversations about true success that transcended dollar signs. As Ethan's words echoed in the air, Rachel watched pride and hope swell in the eyes of those around her. The community was beginning to see deeper, past the surface, past the pressures of wealth. But just when Rachel thought everything was changing for the better, a moral dilemma hit her hard. Should she chase the validation she craved from the community or hold true to the humility instilled in her since childhood? In that moment, standing on the brink of transformation, Rachel realized that wrapped within the lessons of resilience and kindness, lay the true essence of her journey. But could she really embrace this new vision of success, knowing the power of character ran deeper than any accolade? The question festered, the answers swirling within her like a tempest, leaving readers yearning for more as they wonder what Rachel would choose. Rachel sat on the porch late that night, the moonlight casting a silver sheen over the quiet street. She replayed Ethan's speech in her mind, each word a beacon in her heart, illuminating the path they had walked together. But the shadows of doubt lurked behind her excitement. Did she really believe in the message they had shared? Or was she just swept up in the moment, desperate for a win in a world often defined by material gains? With a deep breath, she pulled her cardigan tighter around her shoulders, wishing the warmth could fend off the chill of uncertainty. She thought of her father's sacrifice, the countless sleepless nights he endured, working multiple jobs to provide a stable life. He was her hero, not for his paycheck but for his unwavering love. Could she channel that spirit? The next morning, Rachel woke with a newfound determination. She decided to visit the community center where Ethan's project would be displayed. As she drove, she imagined the faces of the local heroes, each unique story filled with trials and triumphs. Arriving, she found the hall buzzing with energy, families chatting, volunteers setting up tables, and an air of excitement that enveloped her. "Rachel." A familiar voice called out. It was Mia, her old friend from high school, who had taken a leadership role in the event. They hugged tightly, the warmth of their connection grounding Rachel amidst the chaos. "You have to see what the kids have done. It's incredible." Mia smiled, pulling Rachel towards the back of the hall, where boards of colored paper displayed photos and stories of the honorees. Each tale brought a smile to Rachel's face: soldiers returning home, a teacher who inspired her students against all odds, a grandmother who healed others through her cooking. It struck Rachel how these narratives were woven into the fabric of their town, so many unsung heroes crafting a legacy far richer than a bank account could ever offer. As they wandered through the makeshift gallery, Rachel's heart swelled with gratitude. This was what truly mattered. She could feel the weight of her earlier doubts lifting, replaced by clarity. "I want to do more," she confessed to Mia. "Support these heroes, help their stories reach further, bring them into the spotlight, not just today, but every day." Mia nodded eagerly. "Exactly. We could start a monthly spotlight feature in the community newsletter. Each month, a different hero's story. Share their impact, their lives. It could raise funds too." Brilliant. Rachel felt a rush of energy flow through her. For the first time in a long time, she could feel her purpose aligning with her heart. The sound of laughter and applause suddenly drew their attention. They turned to see Ethan recounting his experience to a group of kids, his charisma spilling into their eager faces. As she watched him, the joy radiating from his smile, a realization washed over Rachel. Her son had already begun to change their narrative, to redefine what success meant in their small corner of the world. Just as her spirits climbed, Rachel spotted a figure at the back of the hall. A man stood there, arms crossed and brows furrowed, his presence cold and watchful. He didn't seem to belong to the celebration. Why was he here? Rachel's heart sank as she felt the shift in the atmosphere. Did he represent the skepticism of others who prioritized wealth above stories? Or was he there to challenge everything they had fought for? As the crowd continued to celebrate, Rachel felt a knot tighten in her chest. It was clear that their mission, their beautiful ambition to honor true bravery and character, could face hurdles yet to come. Would they stand strong against the skepticism? Would she be able to hold that vision of success dear when faced with such doubt? The answers loomed ahead, daunting yet invigorating. And amidst the vibrant chatter of hope, Rachel found herself staring at the man, realizing the stakes were higher than she ever anticipated, igniting a fire to defend everything they stood for as she took a step closer. Rachel approached the man cautiously, her heart racing. She could feel his eyes piercing through the laughter and joy around them, a stark contrast to the warmth she had experienced since arriving. Mia noticed Rachel's hesitation and gently squeezed her shoulder, offering silent support. "Who is he?" Rachel asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "I don't know," Mia replied, glancing back at the stranger. "But he definitely looks out of place." Rachel took another deep breath, steeling herself. She needed to confront whatever doubt he represented. As she got closer, she noticed the man's features. The hard lines etched into his face told stories of disappointment and disillusionment. "Excuse me," she said, her voice firm but kind. "Can I help you?" He turned slightly, surprised by her approach. He didn't say anything at first, his expression unreadable. Rachel took a chance, hoping that genuine curiosity might soften the edges of his guarded demeanor. "Are you here to support our local heroes?" "Support?" He scoffed, shaking his head. "You mean celebrate a bunch of feel-good stories? That one pay the bills?" Rachel felt a rush of frustration. "It's not just about money. It's about community, inspiration, and real courage." He raised an eyebrow, looking her up and down as though sizing her up. "Inspiration doesn't feed your family, lady. You tell those kids who inspire that they won't get very far without cash in hand." A knot twisted deeper in Rachel's stomach. She could see the impact of his words not only on her but throughout the room. There were kids doing their best to share the essence of hard work, community, and heart. What he failed to understand was that those stories, those hearts, held the potential to spark change and ignite hope. Her voice wavered just a bit. But money isn't everything. There's value in building connections, in letting people know they matter. Stories can transform lives. He cocked his head as if trying to see beneath her optimism. For a moment, she felt a flicker of sympathy for him. Perhaps he had fought too long against a world that didn't see him, just like her father had. What do you think you'll achieve here today? I think Rachel took her time, crafting her next words carefully. I think success is something we define ourselves. It's not always about fame or fortune. Success is how we uplift each other, how we support our community. It's about showing what truly matters. The stranger stared at her, his expression shifting slightly, an unexpected softness breaking through. Rachel continued, feeling an unfamiliar sense of confidence. These stories, our heroes, each one of them illustrates resilience. They can inspire others to rise above their circumstances, just as your journey might have once meant something. The man's eyes softened a fraction more. For a split second, Rachel felt he was starting to understand, starting to listen, and then Ethan, full of enthusiasm, bounded over, clutching a crumpled piece of paper. Mom. I have a question for you. Rachel's attention snapped to her son, and she greeted his excitement with a warm smile. What is it, sweetheart? Ethan pulled her aside, whispering fiercely, can we help those kids' stories get on the news? I want everyone to hear them. I told some people over there, and they're interested. Her heart swelled, pride flooding through her. But before she could respond, the stranger watched them, a mix of something unreadable in his gaze. Was it disbelief? Was it hope? Mom? Ethan coaxed again, snapping Rachel back to the moment. What do you think? As she considered her response, Rachel glanced back at the man. In that moment, she realized they had a chance to make a difference, to show everyone that change is possible. The stranger stepped forward, a hint of curiosity in his stance. And what if it backfires? What if nobody cares? Rachel stood taller, fueled by a shared energy surrounding her. What if it changes everything? As tensions flashed in the air, Rachel felt the warmth of possibility, but also the weight of resistance. One path led to hope, the other to doubt. Which one would prevail? She felt the ground shift beneath her, the stakes rising higher. Was she ready to dive deeper and challenge not just that man but the world's perception of what mattered? As she stood there, her heart beat with urgency, ready to face the question she wasn't sure how to answer: the price of their mission versus the power of defining success. These thoughts tumbled through her mind as she faced the man, ready to fight for everything she believed. What would come next? The air crackled with tension as Rachel met the stranger's gaze, feeling the weight of his skepticism pressing down. But it was her son's hopeful eyes that anchored her. Ethan, full of innocence and pure enthusiasm, was unwavering in his desire to do something good. She took a separate moment to breathe deeply, searching her heart for the right words. What if it changes everything? She repeated, letting her voice steady. What if those kids' stories resonate with people? What if they inspire others to take action, to make their struggles known? The man stared hard at her, contemplating, and Rachel could see a flicker of something in his eyes, a glimpse of curiosity, perhaps. But just as quickly, it seemed to dim. People go on with their lives. They forget easily, he said, shaking his head. No, Rachel insisted, feeling a surge of determination. They might remember when it directly touches their hearts. You can't quantify hope or change in dollars. His expression softened again, but Rachel could sense the fight inside him still. Hope doesn't pay rent either, he muttered, crossing his arms tighter. Carol, a local community leader, had been eavesdropping a few feet away, and her voice rang out, clear and full of conviction. But it can create movements. Movements lead to initiatives that generate opportunities. Together, we can shift the narrative, turn those stories into something tangible. The stranger's brow furrowed as he absorbed her words. Rachel felt a shift in the atmosphere, as people started to gather around. There was something contagious about their passion now. Even the children who had been playing in the background were glancing over, curious about this deepening conversation. "Look," Rachel said, glancing at Ethan who was practically bouncing on his heels. "What if we could share these stories of local heroes with a larger audience? What if we create a platform where everyone feels they belong? Stories can break barriers." She caught the eye of a few bystanders, their expressions shifting from indifference to intrigue. Someone whispered to another, causing a ripple of whispers across the group, a sign that they were beginning to feel the pulse of her words. "Maybe," the stranger said slowly, "but how do we know that the larger audience even cares?" "Because they will care if we show them." Ethan jumped in, clearly caught up in the moment. "Stories change how we see each other. They make us feel like we're not alone." Rachel felt her heart swell with pride. Her son understood the power of connection and empathy, even more than she realized. The man's posture softened for a moment, as if pondering the implications of Ethan's innocent fervor. Rachel could sense the tension inside him easing, and she seized the moment. "Let us give it a try. If it doesn't work out, we'll learn from it. But if it can inspire even a few people, then it's worth it." There was a pause as the stranger searched her face for signs of falsehood, but all he found was sheer determination. As the crowd around them began to murmur in agreement, she felt an undeniable shift. He sighed. "All right. I've been beat down enough in life that I've been cynical. But if you really believe in this, maybe I can give it a shot too." Rachel's heart raced, a combination of relief and excitement flooding her as a soft smile broke through the man's guarded exterior. Just then, the sudden sound of laughter caught her attention, and she turned to see a group of kids, bright-eyed and laughing, racing toward them with their own stories to share. Ethan's face lit up with inspiration as he reached into his pocket. "Mom, I have some ideas for stories. We can interview them and showcase everything." Rachel beamed as she listened to her son, hearing the excitement building not only in him but around them. But the weight of their mission settled back in, reminding her that challenges still lay ahead. "Let us get started," she encouraged, her heart pounding with both fear and hope. But as they turned to put plans into motion, the stranger hesitated, a thoughtful expression threatening to darken his features again. What if it all blows up? What if the story goes wrong?" Rachel paused, the gravity of his question weighing heavily on her. What if it did? Would they still fight through the setback? Would her son's determination still shine as brightly if they faced disappointment? "Sometimes," she finally replied, her voice firm but tender, "you have to risk everything for the chance of something beautiful." As they stepped forward into the unfolding potential of their dream, Rachel couldn't shake the sense of uncertainty that lingered. Would they find what they're looking for, or would this journey expose more than they ever anticipated? As they began to organize their plans, Rachel's heart raced in rhythm with the chatter around her. The energy shifted from skeptical to hopeful, igniting a spark in everyone gathered. Kids darted in and out, seeking attention with their animated gestures, while adults leaned in, eager to offer their support. "Okay." Rachel clapped her hands together, drawing the crowd's attention. "Let us brainstorm ideas. Who has stories to share?" A volunteer stepped forward. Her name was Mira, a schoolteacher who often felt overwhelmed by her responsibilities, yet hidden within her were tales of resilience and strength from her students. "I have a few kids who've overcome incredible struggles," she said, her voice tentative. "Let us hear them." Ethan was bouncing on the balls of his feet. Rachel smiled at his enthusiasm. Mira cleared her throat. "There's this one student, Malik. He comes from a rough neighborhood, but he's so driven. He wants to be a doctor despite everything." As she spoke, the air thickened with emotion. The crowd leaned closer, their faces transforming from indifference to interest. Rachel felt a ripple of connection that started to build among them. "Beautiful. Malik's story can inspire so many," Rachel encouraged, her spirit buoyed by the moment. "Who else?" A small boy raised his hand, his face lighting up with excitement. "My sister, Lena. She started a garden for homeless people." The sheer pride in his voice made Rachel's heart swell. Imagine that being seen by people all over, Rachel mused aloud. Imagine the impact. The stranger, who had hesitated before, stepped forward from the fringe of the crowd. His eyes were thoughtful, almost vulnerable. I guess it's about time I let go of my cynicism, he said softly. What if we can showcase these stories? What if we give these kids a platform they've never had before? The murmurs of approval picked up from the group, a wave of support crashing over the stranger's doubts. Rachel noticed something change in him, a flicker of hope igniting where there was once only skepticism. Maybe we could set up interviews, Ethan suggested, his eyes shining. What if we videotape their stories? People need to see how amazing these kids are. Great idea. Carol interjected. Let us gather stories from schools, community centers, bring everyone together. But just as excitement built into a crescendo, the stranger furrowed his brow again, uncertainty flickering back into his expression. And what if nobody listens? What if we fail? Rachel took a breath, feeling her heart tug. There's a chance we might not reach everyone. But what if we reach just one person? The crowd grew quiet for a moment, allowing the weight of her words to hang in the air. If our stories resonate with one soul, isn't that already a victory? There was a moment of contemplation before smiles began to emerge. The stranger nodded slowly, his defenses visibly lowering. All right, I'm in. Let us do this. Ethan's face lit up like it was Christmas morning. We'll make a difference. As people began to brainstorm logistics and ideas, Rachel felt a spark of elation sweeps over her. Despite the lingering doubts about what lay ahead, she held on to a sense of unity forming within the group. It felt like they were all weaving threads of hope together. But then, a voice cut through the jubilation, the tone darkening it abruptly. A woman emerged from the back of the crowd, her expression troubled. But what about the risk? What if these stories cause more pain than healing? Rachel's heart sank. The crowd grew still, and the air shifted again, thick with tension. It was a fear she hadn't considered. What if sharing their stories opened old wounds instead of healing them? Just as Rachel opened her mouth to respond, Ethan touched her arm lightly. His gaze was earnest. Mom, can hope hurt? The weight of that question hung in the air, and Rachel realized it might be the turning point in this journey. Would they uncover strength or struggle through vulnerability? She took a deep breath, ready to guide them through it. Sometimes, hope can hurt, she began, drawing everyone's attention. But it can also heal. It's up to us to choose how we use it. As she spoke, the crowd seemed to lean in closer, their hearts open to the discussion ahead. Rachel couldn't help but wonder, would they be able to navigate the complexities of hope, pain, and healing together? And with every step forward, she felt the pull of both possibility and peril, ready to see what comeback awaited them next. Rachel's voice hung in the air, an anchor in the swirling sea of emotions. She felt the crowd's tension pulse around her. Let us think about it like this, she continued, when we open up, sometimes we find wounds, we might uncover pain. But we also have the chance to heal together. It's a step towards understanding. The woman who had voiced the concern stood silent, but her brows began to soften. Rachel sought her eyes, hoping to create an opening for dialogue. Can you share more about these fears? The woman hesitated, then nodded slowly. I've seen stories told that brought more hurt. I worry these kids might revisit pain they wish to forget. What if sharing their struggles fuels more sorrow? A murmur came from the crowd. Others began to fidget, reflecting the doubt creeping in. Rachel's heart raced. This moment could tip either way. Then Ethan piped up again, his voice bright and innocent. But isn't sharing also about showing how strong they are? They could help others who feel alone. Rachel felt a surge of pride for him. His words felt like warmth on a chilly day. She watched as some faces began to nod, visibly considering the idea. Exactly. Rachel beamed. Malik dreamt of being a doctor. That's hope. And Lena's garden? That's hope, too. If we can show that, maybe it will inspire others who feel they have no way out. Slowly, the woman who had raised the initial concern broke into a reflective expression. I see what you mean. It's not just about the hard stuff. It's also about how they rise up, right? Absolutely. Rachel said, her excitement leaking into her voice. Stories of struggle highlight the courage behind the triumph. They can teach us all something, whether the listener has been through something similar or not. A man from the back of the crowd shifted forward. Rachel, are you suggesting we not just share the pain but also the triumphs that come afterward? Yes. She felt the momentum rise again. This project isn't just about digging into hardship. It's a celebration of resilience. It's about highlighting the incredible journeys that result from fighting through pain. A warmth spread through the crowd as heads nodded in agreement. One by one, faces brightened. The conversations flowed, new stories bubbling up like joyful secrets shared among friends. As ideas bounced around, Rachel noticed the stranger again. He was leaning in, visibly immersed now. I think I finally understand, he said. It's about the journey, the whole journey. Yes. Rachel grinned at him. We're not here just to tell tales of sorrow. We're here to lift each other up. Couldn't we build connections instead of barriers? I want to help, he said, a new energy sparking in his voice. Let us plan to start small, focusing on a few powerful stories first. The air shifted again, but this time, it was thick with a sense of purpose rather than doubt. Rachel's heart swelled. Maybe hope wasn't just a fragile flicker, it was a fire, just waiting to be lit. As they formed small groups to start planning, Rachel caught Ethan looking up at her, the corners of his mouth twitching into a smile. Mom, you really think we can do this? Absolutely, buddy, she replied, ruffling his hair. And it will be beautiful. The energy remained high as laughter and excitement filled the space. But then, just as the plans began to solidify, a thought crept back into Rachel's mind, a shadow of doubt. What if they faced pushback from the community? What if the stories evoked anger or sadness instead of hope? Would the risk of pain outweigh the potential for healing? Could they truly transform the narrative? As laughter echoed around her and hands eagerly jotting down ideas, Rachel couldn't shake the unease settling in her gut. What awaited them on this untraveled path of vulnerability and power? The question lingered in her mind, the answers yet unrevealed. As excitement twisted with trepidation, Rachel realized they were all on the brink of something significant. But would they find the strength to overcome whatever lay ahead? Would the stories they choose to tell be the light that led the way? The small groups buzzed with conversation as Rachel stepped back for a moment. She watched her community come alive, faces lighting up as they shared stories and ideas. Still, that nagging doubt gnawed at her, like a whisper echoing in the stillness of her mind. Ethan, unaware of the weight of his mother's thoughts, sprung to his feet, a spark of inspiration igniting his imagination. What if we made a video? He proposed, his excitement infectious. We could show the kids sharing their talents and triumphs. It'd be like a mini-movie about hope. The room erupted with energy. Rachel smiled, feeling pride swell in her chest. Yet, beneath the surface, she wondered whether it would be enough. Would the stories truly resonate? Would they be brave enough to step into the spotlight? One woman, Mia, a shy artist with a gentle spirit, spoke up. I think we should have an art exhibit. Art has a way of expressing what words sometimes can't. It can be filled with both the struggles and the beauty that comes after. Rachel felt a flicker of hope. That's a beautiful idea. We could showcase not just the painful moments, but the vibrant colors that follow. Supportive nods spread through the group. Yet, beneath their enthusiasm, shadows of doubt lingered. Rachel could sense it, the reminder of the concerns brought forth earlier. What if their vulnerability meant exposing wounds that weren't ready to heal? Will everyone be comfortable with this? She blurted out, breaking through the atmosphere of excitement. A tense silence followed her question, and for a moment, the room felt heavy. All the hope seemed to teeter on a fine edge. Ethan's small voice broke through. But Mom, We won't know unless we try, right? Rachel's heart sank and soared all at once. He was right, but being a parent meant wanting to shield him from hurt, too. That's true, buddy. But I don't want anyone to feel pressured. We need to respect their stories. Just then, the man who had voiced interest earlier stood up. I think we should start with a gathering. A safe space for everyone to share their thoughts. We could set ground rules to make sure everyone feels heard. Rachel's heart lifted. That felt like a step in the right direction. Yes. We can set guidelines, honoring the space we create. It's about building a community, not tearing one another down. As discussions resumed, Rachel felt a warmth wrapping around her, an exciting blend of possibility and community spirit. Their collective energy surged, and although the shadow of doubt loomed, they began to draft plans for the gathering. Ethan pulled on her sleeve. Mom, can I share my story? I've been working on that poem. She looked down at him, seeing his hope shining through his candid expression. Of course, sweetheart. Your voice matters. Around them, the groups continued to buzz, but Rachel couldn't help feeling the rhythm of something deeper taking shape. It was the heartbeat of change, of healing, and of shared strength. But just as optimism started to bloom, a sudden thought struck her like lightning. What if someone offered a story that was too raw, too haunting? Would she have the courage to handle it? Would they? As she watched Ethan's enthusiasm and joy, Rachel knew they were all stepping into uncharted territory. Beneath the surface of excitement lay uncertainty. Would they embrace the shadows along with the light? And could that vulnerability be the key to something truly transformative? With her heart pounding, she returned to the conversation, threading hope with caution, a delicate balance leading them forward. But Rachel sensed they were dancing on the edge of something much larger than themselves. An incredible transformation loomed ahead. Would they be ready when the moment arrived? Rachel felt a rush of mixed emotions as she turned back to the group. The words floated in her mind like whispered promises. It wasn't just about the video or the art exhibit. It was about vulnerability, the kind that could break hearts and build bridges at the same time. Someone in the back cleared their throat, and the chatter softened. It was James, an older gentleman with kind eyes and a history that had likely known both light and darkness. I've been watching you all, he said, his voice steady but soft. We've been through so much. Sharing our stories might just be what we need. His honesty struck a chord. It reminded Rachel of her own fears, the fear of not being enough, of somehow failing her son. She longed for this to be a place where they could all be brave. As long as we create a safe space, Rachel said, we can take this leap together. Mia nodded enthusiastically. What if we also had guided discussions? We can have someone help us lead these conversations, ensuring everyone feels safe. Ethan beamed at the idea. And we can include music. Music has a way of bringing people together. The thought stirred something deep within Rachel. Music, the universal language. It could weave through their stories, connecting them in ways they hadn't even begun to imagine. She pictured laughter, smiles, and maybe even a few tears, blending into an experience that could bind them all. But beneath her growing excitement, the old doubts still simmered. What if someone's story is too painful to share? She asked, voicing the question that taunted her. Rachel felt the weight of their gazes. James spoke again. Then we listen. We listen and honor it. Sometimes that's all someone needs. Rachel nodded, her heart swelling with gratitude. Encouragement spread among the group, touching each individual as they found their footing in this blossoming idea. This wasn't just a project. It was a lifeline. Ethan tugged at her sleeve again, his eyes bright. Can we make a timeline, Mom? A countdown to the gathering? It'll feel more real. Great idea. Rachel hugged him close. Everyone here can contribute. We'll create a sense of excitement together. Plans began to take shape, and conversations flowed like water. People began to share not just ideas, but snippets of their stories, the parts that felt okay to reveal. The sparkle in their eyes shone through vulnerabilities. Mia offered to create a logo for their gathering, a symbol of unity. Others suggested themes for discussions: grief, joy, resilience. Each suggestion felt like a brick in the foundation of something that could change their lives. As excitement built, Rachel stood back, marveling at how quickly this group transformed. Her heart raced with anticipation and a hint of anxiety. All these stories woven together could be beautiful, but what if some of them turned out to be darker than she thought? Yet amid the uncertainty, she noticed something remarkable. The gathering wasn't just a project, it was becoming a celebration of life itself. Each person was stepping slightly closer to the light, ready to share boldly, but was she ready for what they might uncover? With that thought lingering, Rachel resolved to encourage discussion about things they had never dared to voice before. What stories would emerge? Would the revealing of hidden pains transform into something uplifting? Or would they discover depths of sorrow they weren't prepared to navigate? As she stood at the edge of this journey, the vibrant chaos of hope began to take hold, igniting a flicker of courage within her. With her eyes set on the future, she could only wonder, when the time came, would they embrace the shadows along with the light, or would they find themselves swallowed whole? With that burning question in her mind, Rachel felt the pull of this unknown adventure inviting her forward. In the days that followed, the anticipation for the gathering grew like the buds of spring bursting into bloom. Rachel found herself caught in a whirlwind of excitement and anxiety. Ideas continued to pour in, each more creative than the last. With each conversation, they painted a picture of a gathering that would embrace their shared pain and triumphs. Ethan was her little spark, buzzing with energy. Every day after school, he bombarded her with new thoughts, connecting pieces to their plans with a childish enthusiasm that was contagious. "Can we hang colored lights, Mom? It'll make everything feel happy," he insisted, bouncing on the balls of his feet when he said it. "I love that idea," Rachel replied, her heart swelling. She was amazed at how he saw the world. Where she saw shadows, he saw colors. It reminded her that even in darkness, light was possible. As preparations ramped up, Rachel turned to the people she had met during this journey. James had become a steady presence, offering wisdom during meetings. Mia continued to flesh out their logo, pouring her creativity into every draft. And Ethan, her little planner, organized a countdown calendar, a cheerful reminder of what was to come. The more she observed them, the more Rachel felt a burgeoning sense of community. She watched as tentative steps turned into confident strides. Stories that had once been locked away began to slip out during the discussions, raw and real, but often tinged with humor. It was like they were sharing pieces of their hearts, each story stitching them closer together. But late at night, when the dust settled and the excitement dulled, Rachel wrestled with her own thoughts. She thought about the potential pain that lay ahead, stories deeper than she could fathom. Would she be able to help others navigate their darkest moments? As soon as she pushed those thoughts aside, guilt crept back in. What right did she have to fear the unknown when they were the ones stepping forth, so brave in their vulnerability? On the eve of their gathering, she couldn't sleep. Instead, she sat in the living room, surrounded by tiny decorations Ethan had crafted, paper stars, ribbons, and colorful notes with words of encouragement. Each one felt like a promise of connection, an invitation to share. But was she ready for the shadows? Suddenly, a soft voice broke through the silence. "Mom?" It was Ethan, standing at the entrance, his tiny frame silhouetted against the hallway light. "Are you okay?" Rachel looked at him, her heart warming at the concern in his eyes. "Yeah, just thinking," she replied, forcing a smile. He hopped over and nestled beside her, resting his head on her shoulder. "I just want you to know, if it gets too scary, we can handle it together. You and me." Tears prickled at her eyes. How did he always know what to say? It was as if the unconditional love of a child could erase a world of worries. As they sat together, she felt an unyielding bond forming between them, a shared strength that could weather any storm. "Thanks, buddy," she whispered, squeezing him tightly, letting his warmth infuse her with courage. "We'll be okay, won't we?" "Yeah," he exclaimed, a giggle escaped him, and the room filled with his laughter, lighter and brighter than any light she could string up. As dawn broke the next day, she felt a shift within her. They were ready for this gathering. If stories had the power to heal, they could face anything together, even the shadows. The event began, and the atmosphere buzzed with nervous energy and flickering hope. Each person embraced the laughter and vulnerability surrounding them. They stood on the precipice of transformation, ready to dive into the unknown. Then Rachel felt a strange sensation through the crowd, an unspoken question hovering in the air. What would happen when the stories took a turn no one was prepared for? The magic of the moment lingered just beyond her grasp, like a secret waiting to unfold. Was she ready to uncover what lay hidden, the profound heart of a collective journey that would change them all forever? Rachel felt a surge of energy as faces gathered in the community center, illuminated by colorful lights and decorated with the vibrant pieces Ethan had crafted. The air buzzed with anticipation, a palpable excitement that coursed through her. Each smiling face seemed to carry the weight of their struggles but also the promise of healing. Today was not just an event, it was a collective leap into vulnerability, into sharing the stories that connected them all. Ethan stood beside her, bouncing on his feet. "Mom, I can't believe it's finally here." His young voice radiated joy, infectious enough to ease Rachel's lingering worries. "Me neither, sweetheart. It feels like we've been waiting forever," Rachel replied, her heart swelling with pride. As the crowd settled, James took to the mic, his warm voice echoing through the hall. "Welcome, everyone. Today, we're here to celebrate our local heroes, the brave souls whose stories resonate with strength and resilience." A ripple of applause burst through the crowd, their energy building. With the first film showcasing the kids' stories, Rachel felt her breath catch in her throat. The screen flickered to life, revealing Malik's dream of becoming a doctor. His eyes shone with determination, and laughter filled the room as he spoke about his love for science, his passion bubbling over like a soda shaken too hard. Rachel's chest tightened with emotion as the sharing of their narratives began to weave a tapestry of connection. And then Lena's garden appeared on screen, a vibrant, flourishing space, full of life and color, tended by hands both young and old. Rachel watched as tears glistened in the eyes of those around her, touched by the transformation of care into community. Hope floated through the air, fluttering like butterflies taking flight. "How amazing is this?" Mia whispered beside Rachel, her voice barely audible over the gasps and cheers from the audience. Before Rachel could respond, she felt an undeniable shift. The stranger from earlier had stepped forward, his face softened by an unexpected determination. "I want to share something," he said, voice shaking slightly. The room stilled, all eyes on him. "I've held too much skepticism. I was lost in thinking money was the only measure of success." He glanced around at the faces in the crowd, a flicker of regret crossing his features. "But today, facing all of you has opened my eyes. These stories, they matter more than I ever realized." A wave of murmurs swept through the audience, a collective acknowledgement of shared struggle and redemption. Rachel beamed. This wasn't just about them anymore, it was a movement, a shift illuminating the importance of empathy and community. As stories flowed freely, laughter echoed in harmony with tears, transforming the weight of sorrow into something beautiful. Rachel felt her heart swell each time a child shared their experiences. They weren't just telling stories, they were reclaiming their narratives. Amid the joy, a sudden hush fell over the room as an older woman stood up, her voice shaky but steadfast. "I'm sorry," she started, eyes brimming. "I lost my son a few years back." Sharing that pain felt impossible. The air thickened, tension rising. But another voice chimed in, a young man, mentioning the lessons he learned after losing his father. Sharing hurt can sometimes bring unexpected healing. It unites us in ways we never imagined. Rachel felt a flicker of pride for them, all standing together, embracing the full spectrum of life in those moments, the peaks of joy and the valleys of sorrow. The stranger looked on, visibly moved as he absorbed the depths of their narratives. As the gathering progressed, Rachel could sense the emotional waves crashing, each story merging with another, creating a resonant harmony of healing and connection. Laughter erupted and faded into silence, only to rise again. There was something undeniably powerful about this shared experience. Are you ready to take the leap? Ethan squeaked with excitement, handing Rachel a crumpled paper. Mom, I can share my poem now. Her heart soared. Absolutely, buddy. The stage is yours. With childlike confidence, Ethan took the makeshift podium. He read his words aloud, a heartfelt piece about love and bravery. Each line wrapped around the crowd, creating a safe cocoon of warmth and acceptance. As he finished, applause erupted. Happiness radiated from his glowing face. Even the stranger was smiling now, leaning forward, wrapped in the moment of unity. Rachel felt the tension dissolve, the questions about pain and vulnerability flowing away. They had made it. They were all here together, standing firm against the shadows, embracing the light. As the gathering wove together stories, losses transformed into legacies, and doubts melted into promises of hope. Rachel realized they had accomplished what they set out to do. They had shifted the narrative and ignited a fire of resilience. And in that perfect moment, she understood it was never just about success or money. It was about connection, vulnerability, and the unbreakable ties of community that shape who they are. Together, they had created something incredible and inspiring, a testament to the strength they all held within. As laughter and tears mingled, Rachel's heart swelled with pride, hope, and love. They had triumphed. They had transformed not just the stories they shared but their lives as well. Together, we can change everything. Rachel shouted, and the crowd erupted in a united cheer, their voices rising together as one, echoing against the walls of the community center and beyond. This was only the beginning, and as hands clasped and hearts soared, Rachel knew this new journey had just begun. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and make this story reach more hearts. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share. Your support matters.